to confuse people. But HARP remains the weapon of choice of the controllers of this planet.
And what kind of, if you could give us some kind of your evidence that HARP was used around these significant earthquakes that we've had recently. We referred to Fukushima, and we had the one in Christchurch as well.
Yeah. Well, people, to get it systematically, and we have a website, which is at peaceinspace.org, www.peaceinspace.org. And for the last 10 years, we have logged there articles and in-depth interviews with independent scientists on the HARP chemtrails weapon system used for tectonic and weather warfare. And we've shown not only the mechanics of its being used, but strategically why and how it's used. It's like where you have a new weapon, like a battleship fleet. Well, you're not only using the battleship fleet, but why are you using it strategically? So that we show the how and why the earthquakes and the weather warfare are used to garner resources and for the International War Crimes Racketeering Organization. For example, the prime exotic weapon used in the false flag operation of September 11th, 2001 was HARP, through which they engaged in the molecular dissociation of the Twin Towers and of Building 7.
So do you think that the Niels Harrit, did you hear about the research where he apparently found nanothermites in the dust at ground zero? Do you think then that's distraction and away from the fact? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What we show, and I urge readers to go to exopolitics.com and to read our articles at peaceinspace.com and at exopolitics.com on the 9/11 event, is that in planning 9/11, for example, the controllers had access to quantum access Tesla-based time travel and technology.
Yeah.
And we have eyewitnesses who saw that DARPA and CIA, including the then member of the Nixon cabinet, Donald H. Rumsfeld, had photographs of September 11th, 2001 in 1971.
Yeah, that's very, very strange. I mean, just to clarify to the listener, there is a big crossover going back to Nikola Tesla's work between the kind of extra-dimensional time travel work that we know Nikola Tesla was involved in and the HARP work, and he was kind of the originator behind the technology, the scalar weapon that is HARP. So yeah, I mean, just to clarify that to the audience, that there is this crossover between time travel and the HARP scalar weapon.
Yeah, both are Tesla-based technologies, and there are people who maintain that Tesla was not the benign soul that we know him as, but was an advanced malevolent soul, because the controllers have been able to get the planet in the state it is because of Tesla-based teleportation, time travel, and HARP. Those are the three principal weapons of the controllers, and these are principally reported in my Examiner articles. They're collected at exopolitics.com, and you can go and see how time travel and teleportation are used, number one, for political control. They pre-identify U.S. presidents such as George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. We have eyewitnesses to all of this. They're told 20 or 30 years in advance that they're going to be U.S. president, and then they're sent to secret schools for 30 years to train them to be U.S. president so that they're inside this bubble. And teleportation and time travel are used to create the secret Illuminati bases on Mars. And all of that is set out in my Examiner articles. I've spoken to multiple independent whistleblowers who have been on U.S. bases on Mars. There are between 600,000 and 1 million people there. These are survival colonies for the Illuminati.
Oh, so this is very interesting, because I just stop here because I know that this is supported by George Kavasilis, who says that exactly the same as you, that there are millions of people on Mars, and of course by Laura Eisenhower, who I know that you've done a recent interview with, haven't you? Fairly.
Yes. Laura is one of the whistleblowers, and there was an attempted recruitment. She was attempted to go to be recruited to the secret U.S. colony on Mars in 2006. And
Why was this? Because of her obviously because of her bloodline connections, you think?
Yes, right. And because of her spiritual identity, they wanted the soul that is incarnated as Laura Magdalene Eisenhower,
yes,
to be part of that colony so that she could not live out her soul destiny here on Earth. So the controllers are operating a very high stakes spiritual game in spiritual warfare here on Earth. And they are extremely cognizant. This is what they spend all their time in, and these are what these secret societies are all designed to do, to allow them to play these games. So we who are light warriors have to be as aware and as awake and to play our parts at the same time in terms of exposing and communicating to our fellows exactly what is going on here and to raise the vibratory rate of the planet, which is occurring anyway. I mean, that's occurring through the interdimensional portal.
Yeah.
But it's a question of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And to really, bring to the consciousness what is occurring in 2012 at London. I'm very glad that you asked that question.
Yeah.
Because, not many people are focusing on that. People are focusing on...
Oh, well, of course, I'm living in England, and we've got it surrounding us constantly. I mean, if you look at it as the biggest psyops ever, that and the royal wedding, which was very like a psyops operation, especially, and I will bring this up because of kind of your background and your interests. They talked a lot about UFOs in the mainstream media, in the papers, appearing around the royal wedding. It was in the big newspapers over here. So I could see quite clearly there was some kind of psyops operation going on with regard linking UFOs to the royal event. And because of the Olympic Games being in London, we were consciously aware of that, or subconsciously aware of that link as well. Would you like to kind of talk a bit about this link now that we're on it?
Well, it's very interesting because National Geographic just came out with a video that is kind of a prelude to a false flag operation, stating how it was that aliens would invade Earth, and they have kind of a typical, B-grade movie of aliens invading Earth, and they go back to the July 19th, 1952 flyover of the U.S. Capitol by interdimensional UFOs, probably grays.
Yep.
And in that incident, Truman sent F-86 Sabre fighters after them two of them were shot down. So the false flag option.
Yeah.
The way all of these are distractions, and they're an attempted distraction from their main operation. And their main operation is the global depopulation operation and the attempt to stop the kind of some people call it the ascension.
Yeah.
Or the planetary transformation of consciousness, as we Homo sapiens, who are technically possessed of 12 strands. I mean, if we look at our pineal glands, those pineal glands are capable of processing the information into 12 strands of DNA. They only have 2 now. The information that we have is that those of us who are like, I'll just speak for myself, where I consider myself to be an early indigo. Well, some of the information that we have is that we're now developing our 3rd strand of DNA, whereas crystal kids that are coming in with 4 or 6 strands already functioning.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm glad you were talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and so these new humans that are coming in, these kind of crystal kids with already activated multiple strands, that is like the response of the multiverse to this attempted ecocide and genocide and slowing down of the vibratory rate by the Anunnaki manipulated controllers of the planet. I mean, you can even go, down into the interstices of the U.S. Armed Forces, and they are now targeting crystal kids to bring them in and enroll them as assassins. So as to pervert all that advanced DNA into being part of the military machine.
I'm sure they are, yeah.
So you see, it's always very important to maintain an overall systems view so that the, quote, false flag operation is yet another distraction in the same way that 9/11 was, in the same way that Fukushima is, but they are part of the extinction events.
They are. I mean, could you look at these events like 9/11? Obviously, on the numerology, very important. 9 being the end of the cycle in spiritual terms, and 11 being a kind of a duality, kind of almost signifying the end of duality. And a lot of these events, like the earthquakes, appearing on important energy, you could call them energy chakras around on the Earth. Do you see these events and locations as being like an interdimensional portal, or the opening of interdimensional portals? Almost like we see them, they're being kind of, on one level we see them being caused by this massive conspiracy in the world by the Illuminati. On another level, a higher level, there's something much higher at work here, hyper-dimensionally in a way.
Sure. Look, even at a very kind of entry level, the 9/11 event can be signified by the Tower card in the tarot, and we know that and you even have people jumping out of the Tower card that were jumping out of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's a complete picture, and we know that the principle behind the Tower card is abrupt change, and if you go with it, you enter into the new dimension with expanded consciousness, and if you resist it, well, you're just staying inside the old matrix.